Hey y'all. So this is why I think that people should maintain a level of privacy and mysteriousness when they're navigating dating and relationships. It's just certain people, you just can't let them know everything and anything that you're doing. People have to earn that type of access to you. And even when it's earned, you still should keep certain things for yourself. So, in this story time, we're going to talk about a friend of mine, which I've gained her permission to share this story with you guys. And the purpose of me sharing is really for people to keep themselves safe while they're navigating dating. So this particular couple has been together for about 5 years. It started as a relationship in which they lived in close proximity to one another. In the fifth year, she moved to a different state. So they decided to continue the relationship, and it was more of a long distance relationship in which they continued to date each other. She would visit him, he would visit her. They would still go out on trips together and do all of the things that people typically do when they are dating. Now, fast forward, a trip came up where he wanted to take her to the Dominican Republic. And of course, like anyone, you would be super, super excited about a trip, especially with your spouse, right? So they went on this trip, and he was kind of speaking of the idea of wouldn't it be nice to buy a home in the Dominican Republic and we can retire here one day. Just created this beautiful picture. Future planning. Nothing wrong with that. I think most couples get to that stage of when they decide to look fast forward, right? So during the trip, he said, okay, let's look at houses just for fun, right? So they were looking at houses and just, they were there for about 2 weeks. So, hey, why not, right? So they were looking at houses and everything, just having fun with it, going with the flow. And then so they decided to have dinner together. And during the dinner, he was asking her questions, which made her feel somewhat uncomfortable because the questions started to be more about like her financial situation. It was almost like he was trying to gauge where her finances were currently, and how she could contribute to some type of agenda that he had. And in their dating, he knew that obviously she was widowed, so she had been left some money from her previous spouse, and she had also sold a home in the original state to move to the new state. And when she sold the home, it was sometime after COVID. So she made quite a bit of a profit from the home that she sold. And obviously, these are things that we are excited about when we're navigating life, and you tend to share these details with the people that are closest to you. So he had a little bit of an idea about some of her finances, but not all of them. So during this dinner, he proceeded to discuss buying the home in the DR again, in which it seemed like he was pretty serious, as if he had, thought about this and planned it out. And he just wanted to bring her to the DR to sell her on the idea because he wanted her to live there with him and eventually retire there one day. But the interesting part of the conversation, and this is where it kind of got into more of a red flag area, is in discussing it over the dinner and trying to gauge more information about her finances. And instead of like talking about like marriage or where the relationship was going in the next chapter or the next phase, he started to talk about, well, what would you be comfortable contributing to the home as far as money? So she was very obviously confused because in her mind, this was his goal, this was his idea, and she wasn't sure what her finances had to do with the move to the DR because this was obviously the first time that she had even considered the idea. And he literally just introduced her to the goal that he had in mind. So obviously, the dinner ended, they had a few words. And when she came back to the States, obviously, she shared this with me. And she really just didn't know how to feel because I think everything was quite fresh. But she knew deep down inside that she wasn't interested in contributing financially to support his goal or his dream. She had never considered living out of the States or even retiring in a different country. So that part of it, she wanted to, think more about that part, but she just knew that, she had different goals for her money. And she knew for sure that she did not want to contribute financially. So fast forward, they decided to continue the relationship. And he would make little hints about, the DR or at least going back there. And so he decided to sell his home and he wanted to move on to the next stage in the relationship. And as a temporary placeholder, he said, okay, let me move in with you. Let's, move in together and then we can decide after your lease what the next steps are. So he sold his house and he moved to the state and he moved in with her. So they've been living together. Things have been going fine. She said that he never stopped talking about the DR, of course, and he wanted to go back there. So he's like, okay, I'm serious. I really want to retire in the Dominican Republic. I understand that you don't want to contribute financially. That's fine, but I would love if you just come here and support my dreams and just be here in the process. There's no one that I would love to travel more with than you. So she was like, okay, fine. I'll go to the DR. What's the big deal, right? So they go to the DR for the second time. And keep in mind, all of this is happening within the span of like a year and a half. Okay. So they go to the DR for the second time. And during this trip, all they're doing is looking at houses. He didn't say that they would be looking at houses. He's like, this is a vacation. We're going to the DR. I would love for you to come with me. She's like, the whole time they're looking at houses. They're looking at new builds. They're looking at, old house. Like he had gotten a realtor at this point. And he knew what places he wanted to go to look at. So in her mind, she's just like, oh my gosh, I did not sign up for all of this. Okay, but I'm here now, so I'll just go with it. So finally, they've looked at so many houses, and he takes her, or the realtor takes them to like this new construction, like condominium, and they're touring and everything. And she's like, oh, this, it's beautiful. It really is. It had like a rooftop pool. It came with like, maid service, security, all this, the different things that you would find in like a condominium building. So he's like, okay, great. I want to make an offer. Like, I want to make an offer. It's new construction. Let's make an offer. So she's obviously shocked because she had no idea that he was moving this quickly, and this is what this particular trip was about. So he's like, okay, let's sign. Let's sign on the dotted line. I want to make an offer. Tell me what I need to do. So the realtor obviously takes him to like the office of where, I guess you sign the paperwork and you do all the things for new construction for this condominium. And keep in mind, this is a different country. So I don't know what the process is specifically, but I do know that when you are dealing with new construction, there is a financial aspect that you need to put down on that new construction to show them that you're serious. Like, they're not going to start building and they're not going to hold the space or the land for you until you are financially sound. I do know that. So, anyways, they are going through like this process. They're having him select what type of furnishings he may want so they can give him a clearer idea of how much his unit is going to cost. And she's just like going through this process super surprised because he's like, "Oh, I want the penthouse." Like, he's like, "Oh, I want the penthouse. I want all of these." And then she's just like, "Oh my God, like, I cannot believe it. He is super serious about buying a house here in the DR, and he's about to put down a down payment on this condo. And then he's selecting the best condo in the building because he wants the penthouse." And they're going through all of these things, and then so they give him like the number, and then he's like showing her how much it costs and blah blah blah. And then he tells the agent that he's like, "Yeah, it's me and my girlfriend. We're going to be living here, and we're going to be splitting the cost for this condo." And she's like, "We never talked about that. We never talked about any, like, you're the one that selected the." And then obviously he asked the both agents to excuse them while they could have a conversation amongst each other. But she's like completely like shocked. Like, what are you talking about? And how are you including me in this? We never talked about me contributing financially to anything within the DR. And by this point, she's like super like upset, and she just can't believe that he had the audacity to bring her on this trip, number one, as if it was a vacation. And then number two, sit here like he had all of this already planned out. Like, he knew what building he wanted to live in, where he wanted to live, the idea of how much it was going to cost. And he also knew that he needed her financially in order to make this happen. But as he was orchestrating all of this, he never once included her or told her how serious it was about moving to the DR. So she's shocked because it's like, here we go from, okay, this is a dream, it's an idea, I want, to convince you or sell you on this idea because I want you to be a part of my life, to all of this. Okay, what about what I want? Like, you're asking me to contribute financially, but not once have you asked me, okay, what is it that I want in this condominium? And am I okay with any of this? But no, you assumed that you were going to bring me here, put me in a position right? Like pressure me and put me in this position to contribute financially when we discussed none of this. So obviously, she was very, very upset, and they came home from the trip. She really couldn't talk to me immediately about it, but a few days later, she called me and she told me all of this that happened. And I'm one of those people where I have a very unbiased approach because obviously it's hard to offer dating advice to someone that you know so personally from an unbiased perspective. But I did share with her that I thought all of these things were a red flag because obviously, when it comes to major life decisions and financial obligations, those things are critical in discussing with your partner. Being in a relationship is a partnership. So you include that person when you're making major decisions. And in this case, he didn't include her. I mean, he told her what the idea was in the beginning, but as far as how serious it was or what he needed from her or, you know, what her input was or what her thoughts were, he never included her. And then he put her in a very tough position by saying, okay, this is what it is, this is what I need, and you need to make a decision right now. And that's not fair. That's not fair being in a relationship. And that's why I say to everyone, it is very important to maintain a level of privacy and mysteriousness as we're navigating dating and relationships because everyone doesn't need to know about your finances. They don't need to know what you're doing at all times, and allow people to gain access to you. Because even in this case, 5 years of dating, you would think that he would know better and he would approach the situation differently, but he didn't. So you just never know what you're getting or what you're dealing with until the relationship plays out. And that's okay because I think it's definitely a learning experience on both sides. For him, definitely communication, and you can't control the outcome to every situation, right? And you cannot manipulate people into doing what it is that you want them to do. And I think on her side is just maintaining that level of privacy, not allowing people to know what's in your pockets. And especially as a woman, we have to safeguard ourselves in that way. And I believe men do too. Men do too. But at the same time, even more so for women, just because of this situation or this scenario. And that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed the story time. If you did, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts, and I would appreciate a thumbs up so that I can spread this awareness to other women and other people that are navigating dating.